we are part of finding a cure, and we need to continue to fight for that cure. We need to find cures so that someday the word cancer will be a disease of the past.
How can we make a positive impact? And I think Relay for Life will, I think as Carson keeps this up, it could be, there's a lot of potential with this to help other people with cancer.
Good evening. I appreciate everybody coming out here tonight. I'd like to thank you for that. I'd also like to thank the American Cancer Society for asking me to speak on a very important topic, but an often very frightful topic. The word cancer has nothing but negative connotations, and rightfully so. As a radiologist, I've diagnosed, unfortunately, hundreds upon hundreds of cases of cancer, and at the time, felt very fortunate that neither my family or I was on the receiving end of that diagnosis. But almost 1 year ago tonight, that all changed. It was a Sunday evening, and my son Carson came in the bedroom in the middle of the night crying to his mom and dad, sobbing that he was short of breath, and he was short of breath because his back hurt so badly. I asked him if he'd been injured earlier in the day, and he said no. So I said, "You're gonna sleep here tonight. I'm gonna get you some Advil, and tomorrow I'm gonna take you to my imaging center, and we're gonna do some x-rays on your back." Next morning, as we were driving to work to the ODC, I was completely perplexed why he was in so much pain, yet had not been injured. So instead of the x-rays, I decided I would go ahead and put him in the MRI unit and do an MRI of his back. 45 minutes later, as I was in my office sitting with my wife, and he had just come in, the images were sent over to my workstation. What I saw next changed our lives forever. There were bone lesions all over his thoracic spine, his lumbar spine, his pelvis. He had enlarged lymph nodes everywhere. It was a horrible, horrible moment. The first thing I did when I saw that was to reach for my sunglasses so that I could cover up my eyes so hopefully my wife and kid did not see the tears coming down my face. But it's a horrible moment that I know many of the families here tonight have all experienced, being diagnosed with cancer. It's a diagnosis that unfortunately is made all day long, 365 days a year in this country. In fact, when it comes to blood cancer meaning lymphoma, leukemia, or multiple myeloma, someone in the United States is diagnosed with blood cancer every 3 minutes in this country. And every 10 minutes in this country, someone dies from that diagnosis. Subsequent to seeing the films and being able to actually take off my sunglasses, the first thing I did was call some oncology friends of mine in town. We have an excellent oncology community here in Beaumont, excellent radiation therapy physicians, and I consider several of them very close friends. And interestingly, what they told me, which I did not know at the time, was that children in this area that come down with cancer are generally treated in Houston. So their advice was to take Carson to Texas Children's Hospital, which we did. 2 days later, he was biopsied and officially diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. He immediately began treatment, and we, as many of you, boarded a roller coaster for a very painful and difficult roller coaster ride with absolutely no guarantees around the corner. Subsequent to going through such a difficult time, there were occasional positive areas. The most positive thing, the greatest thing that I saw through this was the incredible strength and faith that my son demonstrated throughout this ordeal. The only thing that persistently riled Carson up was, guess what? I'm losing my hair, which I understand. But his faith and even his humor throughout this ordeal was absolutely tremendous. As you know, when we all go through difficult times, such as these, we question our faith. We wonder why God would have put us in harm's way and what good is going to come out of this, if anything. Then oftentimes, if we're keen enough to be watching closely, a door will open. And on the other side of that door, sometimes there's something very profound waiting for you. I'm here to tell you tonight that we had an experience such as this. One Sunday afternoon, when we were up in Houston at Texas Children's Hospital, while Carson underwent his chemotherapy treatment. It was about lunchtime. The vote was made. I was chosen to be the courier to go get takeout from McDonald's and bring that back for lunch. About 45 minutes later, when I got back, I went in the room. I saw my wife and Carson smiling, quiet, with this very serene glow about them. My wife Tanya says to me, "You are not going to believe what happened while you were gone." She said, "An angel came to visit us." I said, "What?" And immediately Carson said, "But Dad, no. An angel did come and visit with us, and his name was Dr. Pepper." Well, the story that ensued left me in just absolute awe. And the first thing I said to Carson was, "I want you to write this story down. I want you to write this story down so that we never forget any of the details of this story." And before I close tonight, I'd like to read you that story because he did write it down. There's one term in this story that I'd like to briefly explain. It's a term that I'd never heard before until this took place, and it's something called the rainbow. And in the context of the story, the rainbow is a very high-tech, very difficult professional technique that soccer players can use. Basically, they squeeze the soccer ball between their ankles and feet. They start to run. The right foot slowly lifts the ball up the back of their leg, and then the left foot kicks the ball over their head and hopefully over the defender's head in front of them. It was a very, very difficult technique that in true games, really the superstars are pretty much the only ones that can pull it off successfully. Now, having said that, let me read this story to you. Story simply entitled, Dr. Pepper. Today, I'm pretty sure an angel came to me. This is how it went. So I was in the hospital, laying in bed, when a janitor, or so it seemed, walked in. The first thing he said to me was, "I'm Dr. Pepper." I was a little confused at the time. The man looked like he was in his late 50s, black, pretty tall, Jamaican accent, and long hair and a ponytail. The next thing he said to me was, "Show me a smile." I did as he told. He said that about 3 times. These were his words after that. "Good. I send it up to God. He sends smiles back and is watching over you and will heal you." He then gave me a speech on how you need to put God over everything. He was very enthusiastic when he spoke, which I thought was very, very cool. He also had a very good sense of humor. He'd crack a pretty good joke every now and then. At that point, I was wondering how he was a janitor because he knew so much. He seemed like he had tips for everything. I told him I played sports, and he talked about that with me. He said I could be the best if I worked the hardest, was the leader, and had God with me. He said to be a leader and help develop the rookies instead of just using the other stars on the team. His words were, LeBron works hard, but he isn't a leader. That is why he is not going to win the finals this year. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, those are leaders and franchise players. That's who you need to be like. He kept telling me to work hard and I'd get better. Then he got a roll of paper towels and he did the rainbow. It was so incredible. He kept talking, always putting God first, but explained it in a lot of different ways, like in sports, jobs, or whatever. So then he was about to leave, but said, smile one more time. So I did. He said, God sends you smiles and will heal you. So then I thought he was going to leave, but he told me to do one more thing. He said, I want you to sing now. He told me to sing a song called The Man. I was a little shy at first, but then he said, do not be shy. So then I sang. Then before he left, he said he was going to see me on TV after I had a career game and say, I know him. That's Carson Mainwaring. And everyone would think he is crazy. Oh, he also put a rag up to my face and pretended like it was an interview. I wasn't that good, so he said to practice because I'd need it for lots of interviews in the future. So yeah, I met an angel today. It was such an amazing experience that I can't even put everything into words. The end. As most of us know, LeBron and his team did not win the championship last year. San Antonio and their team did win the championship. Carson averaged 20 points a game playing junior high basketball this past season. And thank God, my son has been in remission for 9 months. So before I leave the podium tonight, I must introduce you to a true hero of mine, a boy that I love so dearly. And I'm here to be very proud to have honored him tonight. Carson. Give me a hug, boy. Thank you very much.
I'm Carson Mainwaring, and the Relay for Life is important to me because I'm cancer-free.